Hello, everyone. Thank you for being patient. We are just giving people the opportunity to join this part 2 webinar in the series of what happens after Hyperion support ends. Are you ready for what's going to happen next? So we're going to be recording this session for viewing and listening later. So we'll be sending out the link for that as well. So again, thank you for joining us. I know it's a very different time. We had expected these to be workshops to cover these two parts of the sessions, but unfortunately the current health concerns prevented us from doing so. I'm sure you all understand. But we look forward to engaging with you through this process and helping you to understand what your choices are and options. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Harshal, which will be covering a brief synopsis of what happened in our first session, and then moving into the agenda for the for today's session. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Rick. Hello, everyone. I think let's get started. So quick agenda for today's session is, we'll talk about the upgrade about the EPM cloud. So before we go into that, we'll also do a quick recap of what we have done in the previous webinar. The next piece which Rick is going to cover is we'll talk about the TCO report. So in which we'll talk about, the total cost of ownership that you may have with the on-premise application and with, by moving to the cloud, how it can help you in reducing the total cost of ownership over the next period of 5 years. Uh, in the first webinar, many of you asked the questions about, if we decide to move to the cloud, what kind of migration approach you guys have, and that's what we are also going to discuss. So we do not have a generic assessment or a migration plan. So it depends on the customization or the configurations that you have done on your on-premise applications. So migration plan differs for each organization. However, we will try to cover that piece in this particular webinar. And at the last, we'll also talk about, some innovative technology, a kind of a transformation roadmap. So how, moving to the cloud is considered as, moving towards advanced technology, and how you can use the new technologies like artificial intelligence, RPAs, machine learning into cloud. So we are going to do a kind of a quick video of a chatbot where we'll show how one of our customer has used just a messenger to connect with the EPM application and get all the information on the mobile rather than going into the application. So we'll talk about that. And at the last, we'll talk about the next step that, once this webinar is done, how we are going to, what would be the next steps. At any point of time, if you guys have any question, feel free to write in the Q&A box, and I'll try to take that at regular interval. So I think this is what we discussed in the first webinar. The options that we have, with version coming to an end, with the current version coming to an end, which are the three different options. So we discussed in detail about doing nothing. We discussed about 11.2. We also discussed about how you can also have an option to move to the cloud, and we did a quick demo of the HFM and HPV on the cloud application. So now let's try to understand what EPM on the cloud looks like and what kind of benefits it's going to give to you guys in terms of functionality, in terms of reporting, in terms of the upgrades. So yeah. So if you see here, I think this is also we discussed last time, why people choose the cloud. Majority of the customers that we have, they choose the cloud because they wanted to reduce the overall cost of ownership. But there are certain set of customer who wants to avoid the upgrades, who wants to keep the technology up to date. They wanted a faster deployment. They wanted to use regularly updated versions of the EPMA application. So, and these are the various reasons why they chose the cloud. And these are the quick benefits that you are going to get with the EPM cloud. So automatic monthly update. So this would be the last discussion that you will have on the upgrade or the update, if you decide to move to the cloud. The consistent growth in the feature set. So again, rather than you going back to Oracle asking for the enhancement, Oracle keep adding new functionalities. They keep adding new reporting and the calculations in the application. So again, you do not need to worry about updating your application with the new features. The quick implementation. So both, whether you are a new customer of EPM or whether you are a Hyperion customer, the implementation or migration are not time consuming. This can go as quick as 6 weeks in migration plan, 8 weeks migration plan, depending upon your configuration. uh, Again, all these EPM application are interconnected, so navigation becomes much smoother. Again, if you want to have uh, single sign-on, this application can connect with your Azure. It can connect with your AD, and you can establish a single sign-on. This can be accessed from anywhere, and it's a highly secure environment. So it's up to you, it's an organization policy, whether they want to keep this open. And again, you guys don't need to worry about the firewalls and the antivirus softwares, because these are very secure since it is deployed on the Oracle database. So these are some quick benefits. Of course, there are numerous benefits which cloud comes with, in terms of the features, in terms of the reduction in the cost, in terms of the hardwares. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure I cover a few of them in here. So with that, I'll move to a side-by-side comparison, and this is very important for you guys. So because many of you may have a misconception that cloud will not have all the functionality which on-premise application has, or in cloud we may not be able to do a few things, which probably a few years back would have been correct assumption, or a understanding. But but at this point of time, whether Oracle EPM application is in a mature stage, and it is one of the best applications you can have, as far as performance management applications are concerned. All your EPMA application comes with rather more functionality than what you have on the on-premise application. So if you see, so this is kind of quick comparison of Hyperion Financial Management, which is a consolidation piece, as compared to it's the cloud counterpart of that particular solution, which is financial consolidation and close. So as you see, the base functionality like ownership management, the consolidations, the multi-gap reporting, all you are going to get both in HFM as well as on the cloud version of consolidation. What the additional, and which are pretty much new functionalities that you are going to get with the consolidation modules are on the reporting piece. So it has a fantastic dashboards. It has amazing infolettes which you can use to present it to the board, or to present the results to your management. Close manager. So as part of the HFM, you have a completely different module to manage the close manager, whereas in EPM cloud, the close manager is part of the financial consolidation module itself. So it doesn't, the module allows you not only to do consolidation, but it also allows you to monitor and manage your close processes, including your reconciliations, including your making sure your sub ledgers are closed properly and on time, sending the follow-ups to the respective owners if it is if the sub ledgers are not closed on the time. So all those pieces you can manage it in the close manager. Supplemental data. So again, one of the challenge which you may have with on-premise consolidation application is to use the supplemental data to do a schedule level reporting, or to do a kind of a transactional level reporting. With the consolidation in cloud, you have that option that you can actually bring down all the transaction to do a detailed reporting if you want. So all these functionalities are pretty much in there. And another important functionality is, if you see the last line, is out of the box calculation. So unlike HFM, you do not need to write a rule file. You do not need to write a VB script to run the calculation. All these calculation with respect to minority interest, translation, adjustments, all the intercompany eliminations are predefined in the application. So you do not need to worry about making those changes in the rule files. So this is more of a HFM comparison with the consolidation on cloud. Similarly, this is a kind of a quick comparison of planning and budgeting, which is Hyperion planning and budgeting comparison with the cloud version of it. And if you see the standard functionality, the base functionality remains as it is. What gets changed or what comes additional is some kind of an enhanced feature where you can actually use this application not only to prepare your budget, but to actually do a reporting on top of your budgeting. So as you see, the pre-built models like capex, manpower, and all those stuff are coming on the cloud. With the on-premise, it is going away. So that's one of the key change. Again, the KPIs and metrics are part of your cloud application, which you won't have on the on-premise pieces. So this is really cool. This is really amazing features and functionality. And with this, when we discuss about the total cost of ownership, we just do not compare, your on-premise cost with the, cloud subscription cost. We also compare the realization of the efficiency that cloud application is going to bring uh, as compared to what you have on premise. Because based on my experience of having this customer move from Hyperion to cloud, we have been actually able to help them reduce their overall budgeting timelines, reduce their overall reporting timelines. And that's how if you convert that in absolute dollar numbers, it's a huge saving that you are looking for when you decide to move to the cloud. uh, Now, before I actually go into the EPM application and I explain about different modules that you get, is there any question so far? Okay, I don't see any questions, so I'll move on. Uh, so now, so with on-premise application, what you have is a concept of modular licensing or modular application. So you have a Hyperion planning and budgeting, then you have Hyperion financial management, then you've got profitability and cost management, account reconciliation management. Individual module is licensed differently. Their probably underlying database was different. There, if you wanted to establish kind of an integration between two modules, it took lot. It used to take a lot of time. Let's say if you want to pass on some data from one application and or probably interchange the data again, it was a challenge because all those applications are deployed probably on a different servers. Sometimes there are cases where you have, if you are running, let's say, two applications of Hyperion, like Hyperion planning and budgeting and HFM, probably you might be running both application on two different versions. So those are the major challenges which you used to have with the modular concept of the applications. With the with the EPM on cloud, you have a single portfolio. So Oracle not no no anymore sell this application as in the modular form. It sells as a packaged version, and as you see, it is accessible through web, mobile. It has social embedded, so you can actually uh, chat within the application, and all those chat becomes part of your audit history. It allows you to do a quick collaboration, and again, the collaboration is not only limited to the finance team or the budgeting team. It actually invites the wider range of people to collaborate into the budgeting or whatever process you are using EPM application for. It comes with a standard analytics, so we did see some analytics in the first webinar where you can actually use EPM application to go in a board meeting and to do a presentation rather than generating some kind of PPTs. Data sync, which is again very important. You do not need to worry about or you do writing difficult integrations. All these applications are interconnected and they can exchange the data very easily. As you Yeah, as you see in here, these are the different applications. So as you see, there is an enterprise planning and budgeting application, and under which I have different models. So again, these are sample model application, comes with some additional models as well. But yeah, it has a financial piece, it has a workforce, capital, projects piece coming into the play. And then you have different other modules like reconciliations, the consolidation and close, the tax reporting. So as you see, end to end your financial management can be managed from here. So as soon as your trial balance is closed, starting from pulling data to do reconciliation, to consolidate, apply some tax provisioning, do some annual reporting or a monthly reporting. And let's say if you are doing a reporting for, or probably you have a requirement to do a transfer pricing, if you have a requirement to do some cost overhead allocation, you can do that. And you can do reporting out of the EPM application. So again, because I have seen many organizations using, let's say, HFM or consolidation module, and once consolidation is done, the data is pushed to data warehouse, and on top of it they publish the report from either Oracle Business Intelligence or Tableau or Power BI. So again, all those pieces go away, because with the EPM application, you get a fantastic visualization and reporting capabilities. Now let's talk about the EPM portfolio. So as I said, it's not only one module. We are talking about 7 different modules that come as part of this family, and all these modules are interconnected. Uh, I do not want to take time to explain about this module in detail, but yeah, it is important for you guys when you take a decision, or when you analyze your option whether to move to the cloud or not, you may want to consider some business challenges you might be facing currently. So assume, let's say you are using Hyperion planning and budgeting as of now, but there is a finance team who is facing a monthly challenge in doing reconciliations. Okay, and probably there are a couple of people who are just involved in doing this reconciliation throughout the close process. Think about that, because now you are not investing any additional money to resolve that problem, since EPM the licenses are going to be remain constant. Similarly, let's talk about certain set of people who actually do the commentary on top of the data. So I have seen organization where there is a reporting team specifically defined, who actually pulls the information from the different applications like ERP, the EPM application, probably some of the point of sale systems, or some of the front end systems, CRM systems, and they just do pulling of this data. They put it in one specific table, they convert it into a chart, and they just do some reporting around it. I mean, it's a long process. Since it's a manual, there are chances that some data gets manipulated, and again, it is person dependent. So all this process goes away with the narrative reporting functionality, because it allows you to connect with the different application, and you can pull the data from different application and do the reporting within the application itself. So uh, it is very important to widen our horizon when we look at the EPM cloud folio, because what you are doing now, you are definitely going to do on the cloud, and that's something which we make sure that you get migrated in a as is process. But I think the value you will be able to realize only when you start utilizing some enhanced modules which EPM cloud has to offer, along with the new functionalities. Again, on the last module, again, which it's an interesting module, where if you want, if you are into multi-state, if you are into multi-country, and you are subject to do a multiple tax provisioning, or the country by country reporting, or if you need to file some XBRL reporting, all those stuff you can manage in this tax reporting module. So any question on this application sides or the module side? So I don't see any questions, so I'll quickly move ahead. Now let's talk about the licensing. So as I mentioned, with the cloud, you do not need to worry about a modular licensing. So there is only 2 licensing pattern, and I'm not going to take much of a time. So we are going to get in touch with you probably post this session or sometime next week and your Oracle counterpart can explain you your this licensing detail in uh, again we can come up with kind of a mix and match combination which works for you guys. But this is a standard licensing model that Oracle has to offer. So there is a first version called EPM Cloud standard version, which comes with these 4 modules, so you can utilize these 4 modules. And then there is a EPM Cloud Enterprise module, which comes with all the modules which we talked about. And again, these are the minimum set of user licensing that you guys have.
And let's go back to that one just for a moment. So as people understand how the 2 packages or scenarios work. So if you were to choose EPM Cloud Standard, with that, you can only choose one of the 4 listed here. And that would be for the 10 users. So you would either use it, the PBCS or planning, or FCCS financial consolidation and close. Whereas on the EPM side, with a 25-person minimum, you actually have the ability to mix and match from the whole portfolio of products. So you can choose to do 10 for planning, 10 for financial close, and then 5 for account reconciliation. So you've got that opportunity to mix and match in the enterprise, which we see most customers go, and choose that so that they have the ability to choose from the various ones. You can choose outside of the 10 user minimum for planning, but there will be additional surcharges for that. But that 10 user minimum is strictly for one of the products. Just want to make sure that is understood when you're talking to your Oracle representative. Thank you.
Thanks, Rick. Yeah, but this is a high level architecture with the cloud application. So one of the challenge that you might be facing now, or probably one of the thought that you will have, how cloud application will connect with my on-premise application, whether it's a data warehouse or whether it's your ERP system. So with the EPM cloud application, it comes with a standard integration tool called EPM integration agent. And there is a utility called EPM automate utility. Now this, in the combination of these 2 application or utility, we will be able to connect not only with the cloud application, but also with your existing on-premise data warehouse or any application that you have on-premise. Yes, the precondition is that you have to open the firewall for us to connect directly into the data warehouse. But as soon as it's open, we can actually directly pull the data from your on-premise application. Okay, so you do not need to pay any additional license for it. You do not need to worry about FDQM or FDME or something like that. This comes as part of the license which we just discussed. And let's say if you guys are on the cloud application, if you guys are on Oracle Cloud, EPM application has a predefined adapters to pull the data from GL and pull the data from subledger. So again, those are predefined models or adapters which are available. So let's have a quick comparison of EPM cloud and the on-premise application. So again, this is a quick comparison of what you need to have with the on-premise and what you are going to and which you can get rid of if you decide to move to the cloud. So hardware infrastructure, again, you'll have it on-premise, on software based subscription is something which is going to be on the cloud. The operating cost gets reduced when you move to the cloud as compared to on-premise. And again, the implementation cost so let's say if you decide to upgrade your environment, the cost is definitely going to be higher if you compare year on year or version on version upgrade as compared to the cloud, which is going to be your one time move. So and when we did this comparison, we came up with at least 35% savings on the total cost of ownership. So whether you decide to move to the the 11.2 version, or you decide to move to the cloud with 11.2, 3 years down the line you will have and you will have another version to upgrade to, or probably another patch to apply to. With the cloud, I think this is going to be a last upgrade or a migration you are going to do, and post that you don't need to worry about all this stuff. So with that, I'll have Rick cover this TCO piece, which talks about how we will create a kind of a report which gives you a quick comparison of your on-premise total cost of ownership versus cloud TCO. Yeah, Rick, go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Herschel. So let's just jump to the first slide here, and I'm not going to spend too much time here because what we have found is a number of the attendees for these webinars did receive the TCO reports, and a lot of that is a iterative process where you'll be working with the Oracle representative and us to put actual numbers in there. The original TCO report that you received is based on a certain amount of estimations. So the whole purpose around the TCO report is to take a look at what you currently have, but also what your business process can be improved along with some of the infrastructure improvements that you'll have. So you'll see that in there. And again, what these are to do is these estimates that are entered in there are put in there to give you a overview. And again, based on your environment and your footprint within Hyperion, there could be some significant changes to that. So, costs vary and TCO varies, but we want to make sure that you understand that this is, again, working with what your actual numbers are. And understanding, again, that, a good portion of what that support, that TCO report is going to be built on is what you generally do to keep the lights on and keep things moving forward. So let's go to the next part, please. Next slide. ROI, different from obviously TCO. So there's the business benefits that are included in there around operational excellence, integrated business insight, and agility. These are numbers that are taken on based on industry. And again, these are estimations that will work with you on to calculate what your true ROI is going to be. Because as Herschel was saying earlier, is oftentimes the ROI is not necessarily the ROI is actually the biggest motivator and not necessarily the TCO. And how you measure that success is going to be through what sort of operational improvements you'll receive. So let's go straight into the report, and this may look familiar to you all. So this is a sample report where this particular customer was saving 37% moving forward over a 5-year period. And you see the gap at the bottom there on page 1, where the report conclusion, where you see the on-premise being significantly more than the Oracle SaaS. So in this particular case, there was a savings of $408,000 over the next 5 years. And you go to the next page, and we talking a bit about the business benefits there. And this is where we talk about the migration cost comparison. So you see the iceberg, and everybody is familiar with this chart. What you see is what your support costs are, and that's visible, but it's actually underneath that iceberg where you have to calculate your upgrades that you'll have, because keeping on premise, you will have to go through another upgrade probably in the next 3 years, as Herschel said, but also looking at the costs around staffing and infrastructure and software support. Those are all calculations that have to be taken into consideration when looking at your TCO. And of course, the iceberg next to it with SaaS is not having all that infrastructure support and still having part of that IT staffing. And this in general, what we say to people is this isn't an opportunity to take a look at operational changes. It's more taking those individuals that were working with Hyperion and reskilling them to work on EPM Cloud. And if we look at what the cost comparisons are, I know this is quite small and most people can't read that, but it is through the calculator, and this is where you'll see a lot of the estimations that were entered in there. You know, I've known for many years now that on-premise support for managed services and data centers and such are significant. So what we try and do is we've put in some calculations in there that were obviously estimates, and this is where we can drill down alongside what your support is going to be. And then you've got your business benefits underneath that with your operational excellence and your agility and insights. So, you know, again, don't want to spend too much time on this. Each of the TCO reports were customized for you. If you did not receive one of those, please do get in contact with your Oracle representative and ourselves, and we'll create one for you directly. Thank you, Herschel. I'll turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Rick. So let's discuss about the migration approach. So as I mentioned earlier, the approach, you know, to migrate to the cloud differs. I mean, when we go into the detail, but on a high level, if we try to keep it's a 4-step process where, you know, what you do is you analyze your current structure of EPM, whether it's a EPMA application or a classic application, how many dimensions are there, what kind of business rules are written. So, and we have a kind of a ready-made script available, so which will deploy on your server. And once we have the LCM backup of your application, we do an analysis. And based on that analysis, we prepare a detailed migration plan for you. So sometimes, you know, it may take a week's time just to migrate the application on the cloud. And for some, let's say where, you know, there are a heavy customization, it may take probably 7 to 8 days to migrate it on the cloud. And the most of the time, if you see here, we spend on the training, because when it comes to cloud, adaptability of the cloud depends on how well your users are trained. So we spend a lot of time with the user. So I would say, you know, in this kind of migration process or a migration projects, we spend at least 70% of the time just to do the training and testing with the users. So once they are comfortable, the rollout of the application becomes much smoother. And again, it is not going to be just a one set of training. This training is going to be a kind of a continuous training where we will train them on how to use the application. We will train them on how, you know, they can do slice and dice, how they can utilize a new functionalities around reporting to, you know, make their job easier. And once that is done, and once everyone is comfortable, we migrate the application on production. And again, we make sure that the data are reconciled, because some of you may want to migrate 3 years of historical data, some of you may want to migrate 5, 7, 10 years of historical data. So we make sure that all your data is reconciled, all your calculations are working. We try to run a parallel cycle, specifically when it's a consolidation module. So we try to run a parallel cycle, and once the results are exactly the same, we say, okay, now we can discontinue the on-premise application and move to the cloud. So it's a quick process. As I said, throughout this process, we'll make sure that you have an internal system champions, so that, you know, once this implementation is over, you do not need to depend on any third-party vendors, and you will have a, you know, internal team who can manage this application. And again, it's a change management, and again, it's a very little change management. It's not kind of a change management which impacts the entire organization. We'll make sure that the users who are going to get affected with this change are properly trained, are properly attended throughout this implementation projects. And again, in terms of the timeline, I have a customer where we went live in 6 weeks. I have a customer who took at least almost 16 weeks to complete this migration because they wanted to enhance their processes by moving to the cloud. But there was a customer who said, okay, I'm happy with my processes. What I want to do is I just want to get rid of my hardware. I just want to get rid of on-premise challenges that I'm facing. So just take me to the cloud. I'll use it for a year, and then we'll talk about the enhancement. And that's what, for those kind of customers, we would be able to do this in as less than 6 weeks or 8 weeks. So again, it's pretty quick. And as I said, the time doesn't require a lot of configuration. This time will be used to train the users. So that's where a lot of time is going to go. So these are the two approaches. If I sum it up, the first one is the lift and shift, which we talked about, where we say, so we discuss with you what is your primary goal, and you say, okay, I'm happy with the process, let's just move it to the cloud. And that's what we do. We don't talk about the enhancement. We do not talk about the process changes. Yes, definitely we suggest that these are the changes you may want to bring to make the process much more efficient. uh, but again, it's your call whether you want to do it at that point of time or not. So we do a lift and shift, and we can go up and ready in 6 to 8 weeks of time. And then there is a customer who say, okay, since we are moving on to the cloud, I want to take this opportunity to move to the best practices to see what cloud has to offer, and then go back and change my processes. So which we call a move and improve process. So we start with the assessment of existing application. We come up with a kind of gap analysis, uh, kind, and which shows a process inefficiencies, the time that can be reduced in certain set of processes, calculations that can be automated. So all those stuff will identify. We also discuss pain area of the users at that point of time, and try to address those pain area when we make some enhancement. And once that piece is done, we'll implement it, and again we'll complete the entire implementation. So these are the two approaches which we use. In the second approach, as I said, uh, if the enhancements are not that complex, it's pretty much straightforward. It should not take much of a time. Or some of the complex enhancement where you want to, let's say, revive the complete process or change the complete process, the timeline could go up to 16 weeks. uh, I have put couple of references that we have. These guys were the on-premise customers, and they decided to move to the cloud. And these guys have been using this application. So this is the process when we decide to do the migration assessment. So we start with uh, analysis to move and improve. So we do a quick analysis of the application. We understand the application, and we identify the area where the improvement are required. Not necessarily you will do that improvement straight away, but as part of our implementation methodology, it's our responsibility to make sure that we identify if there are any issue with the current application. And this is how you proceed. We do the dimension migrations, we do the uh, application migration, the data migration, and then at the last, the integration migration. Again, we will be sharing this presentation with you all so that you can actually have a detailed look on this, and come back to us if any questions. A quick case study. So we talk about it, so I'll not take much of a time, but yes, these guys went live almost a year and a half back. They are on HFM. They were on HFM, sorry, and they decide to move to the cloud. So again, this users of Halcon were pretty much happy with their on-premise application, but I think internally they have decided to move to the cloud as a IT strategy, and they started with the EPM cloud, and they decided to move to the FCCS, and they they end up saving a lot of money by replacing their existing infrastructure, and with the cloud they are pretty much using this application now. So why you should move to the cloud? So absolutely, cost saving is is a major factor. And if that's one of the initiative, and again in this scenario where the business is pretty much down, I think this is one of the way where you can actually utilize this application to reduce your cost. Up to date with the technology and new functionality. So as I said, moving to the cloud is a step towards moving to advanced technologies. uh, as you see, and on-premise applications are gradually coming to end of life. So yes, for let's say for current version of Hyperion, the support is ending on 21. Probably, 8 9 years down the line, it is ending for the next version, and then you are in the same process. I'm sure uh, you will have a different strategy, but I think right now is the time where you should start talking about cloud applications. uh, and yes, you can actually use multiple modules in a single cost. So rather than paying different modular cost, pay a single subscription cost and take a benefit of multiple modules. And this is the roadmap of cloud application. We discussed the similar roadmap for on-premise. As you see, uh, the cloud application is already on release 19, and this releases happen every month, every quarter. So there is an update schedule every month which comes up with the new functionalities, which comes up with a new guidelines and everything. So this is how it is scheduled. I'll not go into the detail, but as you see, these are some really good functionality which are already available and which are going to come in the upcoming releases. And here, I want to talk about a use case where our customer has used a chatbot to connect with the consolidation application. So this chatbot, so basically this is a screen of a mobile which we recorded. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just play for it, and I request you guys just to observe it. This directly talks with the consolidation application and it pulls the result from there. So let me play this for you guys. So this will take around, yeah.
While we're watching this, so one of the important things to understand is we understand innovation. We've created a lot of these chatbots. Also, Oracle comes with their own chatbots and Oracle Digital Assistants, as they call them. We can help you to create these that are for specific reports that you need or functionality that you need. So this is just an example of one, and we can help you with creating most of that, so that if you have a CEO that's sitting in a board meeting, they'll be able to go to his phone and run a report almost instantaneously on planning, and something that he can get directly into the meeting, so that he can help to make some business decisions there.
So as you see, so and you can actually bring the dashboards and comparative analysis on your mobile. So let's assume a scenario where a finance controller or a finance CFO is sitting in a board meeting, and suddenly they want to see some information. Again, in the current scenario, they may call up someone from the team and ask for the information. With this kind of technology, they can just open up probably the text or email and just send them an email, or probably just chat with the text, and the data will come directly on their mobile. So, and this is not, we already have quite a few customer who are actually using this very effectively. We have a customer who is actually using Alexa. So they have installed an Alexa on their boardrooms, and it actually connects with the back office APM application. So it actually speaks up the result. These are some example of other chatbots. So again, it's not only with respect to the financial EPM, it's also with respect to your transactional system, where if you have a lot of volume of AP invoices, and you have a few AP clerks just replying to the suppliers that, what is the status of my invoice, when the payment is going to be made, you can actually use this kind of a bot where it interacts with your back office application and give the status of invoices or the POs. Similarly, the HCM application talks about where you can apply your leave just on the chatbot. IoT, again, not related to Hyperion or EPM, but again, this is an interesting piece where Oracle is investing a lot of dollars, and this is something which is going to, work really well in the future technology, where, so assume a scenario where you are in an organization and you have multiple locations, and keeping track of the asset, it's difficult. So with IoT, you can actually monitor the movement of the asset in a single screen. Similarly, in the production technology, production organization, use of IoT has already been vast, and yeah, people are using this really effectively, fleet monitoring and all the stuff. So yeah, I see a question in here. What about iSpace? We only use iSpace, financial reporting, and SmartView at this time. Was hoping to see something about this today. Oh, so Robert, I'm sorry I'm not able to cover that, but yes, if you are using just an iSpace, you have an option to move to the iSpace on the cloud. So there is a cloud version of iSpace which you can use, and you can use exactly in the similar fashion what you are doing now. So I'm sorry I'm not able to cover that, because what we try to cover is the Hyperion application, and not the iSpace one. But yes, definitely we'll connect with you, and we'll talk about your specific requirement. Thank you. So with this, I leave it to Rick to discuss about the next steps, and any question I'm happy to answer. So we have some time left, so which we can use for the question and answer.
So while you type in those questions, if you have any, as a next step, what we'd like to do is you've got quite a bit of content over the last two sessions, and I know there's been some relevant changes to everybody's daily life, but we'd like to at least bring a bit of normalcy to it by progressing some of these challenges with Hyperion, and addressing some of those issues you may have of moving or not moving Hyperion if you just wanted to upgrade. I know one of the key things that the on-premise customers keep asking us is what's going to be discontinued. As if you were part of the session last time, you saw there were key areas that were going to be discontinued that would make the upgrade significantly more challenging, and making the promise of moving to cloud a bit more advantage for yourselves and your business. So we want to make sure that those questions are being answered actually. So we'll be reaching out to you to discuss the TCO report, but also have some one-on-one sessions if you would like to discuss your specific environment and how we might be able to help or provide further information so you can make decisions. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. We had 15 or so participants in it, and would like to again ask you to reach out to us if we don't get in touch with you sooner. If you have any other questions, please do let us know. Other than that, I wish you all to be safe and healthy, and we'll look forward to engaging. Thank you very much.